This video is going to cover BARRONS 333 high-frequency GRE vocab words. It's widely regarded as one of the best vocab lists around, although there's a lot of overlap between the different vocab lists. And what's going to be different about this video compared to some of my others is that I'm going to go quite a lot faster. I'm just going to read out the word, read out the definition, and then give one example from my own experience about how to use that word in a sentence. I'm not going to give a longer explanation about the origin of the word or ways you can remember the word. That's up to you. You can pause the video at any time when you come across a word that you didn't know for you to think of a mnemonic. That's a way of remembering the word, and also to give you time to add it to your vocab list, either by physically writing it down or typing it up in a Word document. That's what I recommend. But without further ado, let's get to the list. First word is abate. That means subside or moderate. The storm abated. It went down in strength. Aberrant. Abnormal or deviant. His behaviour is just aberrant. That's not normal. Abeyance. Suspended action. His punishment is in abeyance. We're not going to do it yet, but we definitely are intending to do it. He's not going to get away with it. Abscond.
Abscond.
Oh, I read it out. To depart secretly and hide. He absconded from jail, but we're going to catch him eventually. Abstemious. Sparing in eating and drinking. Temperate, moderate. The monk is very abstemious. Doesn't drink any alcohol, doesn't eat any meat.
Sparing in eating and drinking. Temperate.
Oh, if I click on it, it reads it out. I see. Admonish. To warn or reprove. She was admonished for her behaviour. She was warned about it. Adulterate. To make impure by adding inferior or tainted substances. The fine wine was adulterated with some cheap wine, and the taste was horrible. Ascetic. Artistic, dealing with or capable of appreciating the beautiful. That was an incredibly ascetic design of that hotel. It looks amazing. Created like a piece of art. Aggregate. To gather or accumulate. We aggregated the data that pointed towards the conclusion. We gathered it together. Alacrity. Cheerful promptness, eagerness. He handled his task with great alacrity. He was so eager to get it done. Alleviate. Relieve. Her pain was alleviated by the pill, by the aspirin. Alleviate. Amalgamate. To combine, unite in one body. The two companies were amalgamated into one bigger company. Ambiguous. Unclear or doubtful in meaning. His words were ambiguous. Was he telling her off, or was he encouraging her? It's ambiguous. Ambivalence. The state of having contradictory or conflicting emotional attitudes. I wanted to go to the party, but I was feeling a bit of ambivalence. Something was holding me back. Ameliorate. To improve. Her condition was ameliorated by the painkillers that she was given. Her dire situation at work was ameliorated by a surprise promotion. Anachronism. Something or someone misplaced in time. Seeing that Casio watch from the 1980s in a 2020 movie was quite an anachronism. Why was it there? Why was he wearing it? Analogous. Comparable. My situation is actually quite analogous to yours. We went through the same thing. analogous. Anarchy. The absence of governing body, state of disorder. This country is falling into anarchy. No one's in charge. There are no rules. Anarchy. Anomalous. Abnormal, irregular. The results are quite anomalous. We can't explain them. Why are they like that? It's an anomaly and the situation is anomalous. Antipathy. Aversion, dislike. She couldn't hide her antipathy towards the idea. Antipathy. Apathy. A lack of caring, indifference. He thought she would display great emotion, but there was complete lack of emotion, pure apathy. Voters don't seem to care anymore. They just display apathy when it comes to voting. Apathy. Appease. Pacify or soothe, relieve. Don't try to appease him. There's no appeasing him. He's going to do what he wants anyway. Let's just stop him. The mother tried to appease her crying baby by offering him milk. Appease. Apprise. Inform. She was quickly apprised of the situation. Apprise. Approbation. Approval. They were singing songs of approbation, praise and approval. He received the stamp of approbation from his boss. That was true approval. Approbation. Appropriate or appropriate. To acquire, that's appropriate. The government appropriated the property. Or appropriate. That behaviour is appropriate. It's becoming. It's necessary. One is a verb, one is a noun. If something is the noun appropriate, it's the right thing to do. Whereas if the government or any authority appropriates, that's a verb, they take possession for their own use. They're taking it for themselves. They're appropriating it. Two different words there. Arduous. Hard, strenuous. The climb up the mountain was truly arduous. Artless. Without guile, open and honest. She didn't have a deceptive bone in her body. She was truly artless. So honest, so open, so transparent. Artless. Ascetic. Ascetic. Practicing self-denial, austere. The abstemious monk was an ascetic. Denied himself drink, meat, and many of life's pleasures. Practicing austerity. He was an ascetic monk. Assiduous. Diligent. She was always assiduous in completing her tasks. Diligent, thorough, meticulous, hard-working, assiduous. Assuage. To ease or lessen the pain, to satisfy the hunger, or to soothe someone's anger. His anger was only assuaged when the businessman agreed to meet his demands. The pain in her leg was only assuaged when she was given some painkillers. A bit like alleviated. Assuaged. Attenuate. To make thinner, weaken or lessen in density, force or degree. Her grip on reality had truly become attenuated. She was barely making any sense. The rope holding up the bell had become truly attenuated. It was barely there anymore. So thin and weak. Attenuate, linked to tenuous. Audacious. Daring, bold, full of audacity. His plan to escape the prison was truly audacious, bold, daring, adventurous. Audacious. Austere. Forbiddingly stern, severely simple and unornamented. We talked about the ascetic monk. His life is austere, severely simple, abstemious, lacking in life's pleasures. Austerity is what a country goes through when it's cutting its budget. The budget must become simple. Austerity or austere. Aver. To assert confidently or declare, often used in law, to state formally as a fact. He averred his innocence. Aver. Banal. Hackneyed, cliched, commonplace, trite, lacking originality. That comment is just banal. So cliche, so trite. Where's the originality? That's just banal. Belie. To contradict, give a false impression. Her smile belied the anger that was underneath. Belie. Beneficent. Kindly doing good. The old man was genuinely beneficent. He gave away so much of his wealth. Beneficent. Bolster. To support or reinforce. He bolstered his argument with evidence. Bolster. Bombastic. Pompous, using inflated language. If I say that I'm inebriated with the exuberance of my own verbosity, that's me being pompous or bombastic, using inflated language to sound smarter. Bombastic. Thinking highly of myself, arrogant, pompous. Bombastic. Boorish. Rude, insensitive. The drunken man was truly boorish. Burgeon. To grow forth, send out buds. It's a burgeoning company, really growing fast. New, but growing. Burgeoning or burgeon. Burnish. Make shiny by rubbing, polish. He wanted to burnish his CV by doing some volunteering work. Burnish. Make it look better, make it shiny, polish. Buttress. To support or prop up. He buttressed his defence with a key eyewitness and an alibi that supported what he was saying. To support it, to buttress it, prop up. Or the buttress on a fortress that keeps the walls standing up straight. Buttress. Cacophonous. Discordant, inharmonious. When the orchestra didn't cooperate, it became cacophonous, creating a cacophony. Discordant, inharmonious, sounding awful. All the different shouts in a room can quite quickly become cacophonous. Capricious. Unpredictable, fickle. His behaviour lately has been capricious. We just don't know what he's going to do. He's so unpredictable. Capricious. Castigation. Punishment, severe criticism. He was castigated for what he had said earlier in the meeting. She received castigation for what she had done earlier that day. Castigation. Catalyst. An agent that stimulates or precipitates a reaction in chemistry, development, or change. But it can be anything. Anything can be a catalyst for change. Some people believe certain politicians are a catalyst for change, an agent that can stimulate development or change. Catalyst. Caustic. Burning, sarcastically biting. Her caustic wit constantly undermined some of her friends. Really burning sarcasm. Caustic. Chicanery. trickery, deception. I'm tired of your mischief and chicanery. Why do you have to carry on with these tricks? Chicanery. Coagulate. Coagulate. To thicken, conceal, clot. His blood coagulated on the floor as he lay dying. Congeal together, clot up, thicken. Coagulate. Coda. The concluding section of a musical or literary composition, something that summarizes. The coda of his argument was the most rousing and the most convincing. That's when he really convinced the jury. Coda, the concluding or summing up section of a literary or musical piece. Cogent, convincing. He made a really cogent argument. It convinced me, it persuaded me. Cogent, clear and cogent, convincing. Commensurate, corresponding in extent, degree, amount, proportionate. His pay was commensurate with his hard work. He was really rewarded at the company. Commensurate. Compendium, brief, comprehensive summary. The handbook contained a collection of all the words that would be used in the book. It was truly a great compendium, a brief, comprehensive, covering everything summary, a compilation, a compendium. Complaisant, trying to please, overly polite, obliging, being far too willing to please others, doing what they say without protesting, willing, obliging, pliant, biddable, conformable, always just trying to please, never really resisting, complaisant. Compliant, quite similar. Yielding, conforming to requirements. The compliant behaviour revealed her complaisant attitude. Compliant. Conciliatory. Reconciling, soothing. Him giving her flowers was a conciliatory act. He wanted forgiveness after the argument. To reconcile, to soothe. Conciliatory. It was a conciliatory gesture. Condone. To overlook, forgive, or give tacit approval for, to excuse. We shouldn't condone his behaviour. We shouldn't overlook it. In a sense, the government was condoning the business's practices by not punishing it. Condone. Confound. To confuse or puzzle. He was truly confounded by the riddle, confused, puzzled, bemused. Connoisseur. A person competent to act as a judge of art, a lover of an art. Being a connoisseur of wine, they enjoy many different types of wine. Or connoisseur of French art. A connoisseur of clay pottery. Someone who enjoys and knows a lot about that art form. Connoisseur. Contention. Claim, thesis. He's in contention for promotion. He's got a good claim to it. She's in contention for winning the prize. She might well do it. Or, it is my contention that I'm good at this. It is my thesis, my belief that I'm good at this. It is her contention that he never really existed. That's her position, that's her argument. Two different definitions there. Contention. Being in contention for something, having a claim to it, or having a contention, having a belief, a thesis. Contention. Contentious. Quite different. Quarrelsome. Linked to contention as a belief. She was so contentious, she got into an argument with everyone. Contentious. Contrite. Penitent. He was contrite after he had been very abusive. Penitent, wanting repentance, wanting forgiveness. Contrite. Conundrum. A riddle, a difficult problem. Whether to forgive him or not was quite the conundrum. His partner didn't want to approve the behaviour, but nor did he want to punish him too severely. It was a conundrum. It was a difficult problem. A conundrum. Converge. Approach, tend to meet, come together. Their paths converged on the steps of the church. They came together. Let's converge on a shared approach to this problem. Converge. Convoluted. Coiled around, involved, intricate. Complex, difficult. That's a convoluted answer to a simple question. So complex, involved, coiled up in different shapes, intricate. Can't you just come up with something simple? The plan is so convoluted. Craven. Cowardly. That craven act will never be forgiven. You're such a coward. Craven. Daunt. To intimidate or frighten. I am not daunted by your words. I'm not intimidated. I'm not frightened. You can't daunt me. I remain undaunted by your words. Daunt. Decorum. Propriety, orderliness, and good taste in manners. He had such impeccable decorum, never put a foot wrong, was always so polite, having good manners. Decorum. Or decorous, behaving in a decorous manner, showing decorum. Default. Failure to act. Not always that though. The default reaction, the instinctive reaction, the set reaction is to do something. Or of course you can default on your loans, fail to pay them. Multiple meanings to the word default. Could mean standard, like the default reaction, the default position. Could mean fail to pay, defaulting on your loans. Default. Deference. Courteous regard for another's wish. She showed deference by allowing her son to have the first bite of her cake. Deference. Courteous, polite regard for another's wish or desire. Deference. Delineate. To portray, depict, sketch. She delineated her plan on the blackboard. Also can mean to separate off and distinguish. She delineated the differences between her plan and her neighbour's plan. Or the state wanted to delineate its borders more clearly, draw the lines more clearly. Delineate. Denigrate. To blacken someone's name. To reduce or diminish someone's reputation. My reputation was denigrated by your slanderous words. How dare you denigrate my parents? Ruin their reputations. Denigrate. Deride. To ridicule, make fun of. He couldn't take the constant derision. Why did they keep having to deride him, ridicule him, make fun of him? It wasn't fair. Deride and derision. Derivative. Unoriginal, obtained from another source. That song was really derivative from another one from the 1960s. It wasn't original at all. It's just derivative. Desiccate. Dry up. Over millions of years, the once fertile land became desiccated, dried up, barren, like a desert. Desultory. Aimless, haphazard, digressing at random. That was really a desultory attempt. You didn't really plan anything, did you? It was just haphazard, aimless, making it up as you go along. No real plan there. Truly desultory. Deterrent. Something that discourages, hindrance. The nuclear deterrent exists in theory to discourage big powers from fighting each other, to hinder the start of a nuclear war. The nuclear deterrent. He wanted to deter her from asking anything, so he walked out the room. To deter. Diatribe. A bitter scolding telling off. Invective. He went on a long diatribe about all the mistakes she had made. Dichotomy. A split, a branching into two parts, especially contradictory ones. Well, this situation is a bit of a dichotomy. What do you want me to do? This or that? I can't do both. He wanted to reject the dichotomy of left wing versus right wing. Why does it have to be like that? Can't there be a new solution? Dichotomy. Diffidence. Shyness. He demonstrated significant diffidence when meeting in large groups. He was quite shy, lacking in confidence. Diffidence. Diffuse. Wordy, rambling, spread out like a gas. His argument was quite diffuse, all over the place. Where was the core of it? I don't get what you're saying. Or their search was quite diffuse, spread out across a large area. Diffuse. Digression. Wandering away from the subject. Why do you keep digressing? Can we just stay on topic? He went into this long digression on his love of frogs, but she was trying to talk about the mortgage. Digression. A dirge. A lament with music. His rant seemed to her like a long, sad dirge. A lament with a monotonous melody. A long dirge. Disabuse. To correct a false impression. Undeceive. Let me disabuse you of that notion. I really need to correct you. Disabuse. Discerning. Mentally quick and observant, having insight. She was truly a discerning young employee, so quick, full of alacrity. And smart too, discerning. He could discern right from wrong quite easily. He could really tell. Discordant. Not harmonious, conflicting. A discordant orchestra creates a cacophony. Things don't sound good. They're not working together to create nice chords. They are discordant. Discredit. To defame, destroy confidence in, disbelieve. Her evidence quickly discredited the notion that he was innocent. Destroyed the confidence that he was innocent. How dare you try to discredit me? Make people disbelieve me. Defame my reputation. Discredit. Discrepancy. A lack of consistency, difference. There's a discrepancy here. On this account, it says you earned a profit, but in this account, it says you earned a loss. That's a discrepancy. That's a contradiction. There's a lack of consistency here. What's the truth? Discrepancy. Discrete. Separate, unconnected, consisting of distinct parts. Shoe size is discrete. You can either be an 8, or an 8.5, or a 9. Whereas your height is continuous. You can be 134.289 centimeters. So shoe size is discrete. It's consisting of distinct parts, separate measurements, not containing infinite decimal points. Discrete. Separate from the other spelling of discrete, meaning secretive. That's with two E's together. Disingenuous. Lacking honesty, candor, insincere. Your argument is disingenuous. I know you don't believe that. Disingenuous. Lacking true honesty. Lacking sincerity. Disinterested. Unprejudiced. Does not mean having no interest. It means being impartial, fair, unprejudiced, disinterested. Many people get that wrong. Disjointed. lacking coherence. Your plan is disjointed. You've got him going over there, her going over there, but they don't even work together. It lacks coherence. The joints are all over the place. Things don't collaborate. It's disjointed. Dismiss. Eliminate from consideration, reject. He was quickly dismissed and fired from his position. Her argument was swiftly dismissed. They didn't even listen. Disparage. Belittle. Linked to denigrate. He was always being disparaged at work. They were always trying to put him down. Disparage. Disparate. Disparate. Basically different, unrelated. His team came from disparate parts of the world. One from Asia, one from Latin America, one from Australia, one from Canada. Such disparate locations. So different, far apart, unrelated. Or his genius was in bringing disparate ideas together into one coherent plan. Disparate. Dissemble. Disguise, pretend. He was always dissembling his true intentions. When she confronted him, he tried to dissemble, disguise what he was doing. Dissemble. Disseminate. To distribute, spread, or scatter out like seeds. We need to print thousands of pamphlets to disseminate the idea that our new business is in the area. To distribute the idea, to spread it out, to disseminate. Dissolution. The disintegration, looseness in morals. The dissolution of the monasteries, back in the 1500s, I think, by Henry VIII, was when he disintegrated all of them, brought them down. Or his behaviour reveals his fundamental dissolution. He's lacking in morals. Dissolution. Dissonance. Discord, opposite of harmony. A cacophonous orchestra demonstrates significant dissonance. There's no resonance, there's no harmony, just pure dissonance, discord, a lack of harmony. Dissonance. Distend. To expand or swell out. His ankle was distended by the fall. It was really swollen and expanded. Distend. The distended corpse was horrific to look at. The swollen corpse. Distend. Distill. To purify, refine, concentrate. The book contained the distilled wisdom of generations. The pure, concentrated wisdom. He tried to distill his complex argument into one simple slogan. Distill. Diverge. Vary, go in different directions from the same point. It's the opposite of converge. Converge means coming together. Diverge means going away. After a brief relationship, their paths diverged, split off. Divest. Strip or deprive. Usually reduce your investment in. They divested of all stocks in oil companies. Or the shop was divested of all its goods, stripped down of all its goods. Divest. Document. It's fairly simple. Provide written evidence. Of course, it means like a Word document, a piece of paper or an online document. Or to document something, and this is what people often don't know, means to provide written evidence to support what you're saying. I can document that his behaviour was atrocious and aberrant. I've got the written evidence. I can document that. Dogmatic. Opinionated, arbitrary, doctrinal. Ideological, so dogmatic. Has his set belief and just doesn't change. Has his dogma, his belief, and is therefore so dogmatic. Doctrinal, arbitrary, opinionated, ideological. Set in his ways. Dogmatic. Dormant. Sleeping, lethargic, latent. Like a dormant volcano. One that hasn't exploded in a long time, but might explode. Or the company is dormant. It's not yet extinct, it hasn't gone out of existence, but it hasn't done much for years. Dormant. Dupe. Someone easily fooled. That person is a dupe. Or the verb to dupe someone, to fool someone. She couldn't believe that she was duped by his words, fooled by his words. Duped. Ebullient. Showing excitement, overflowing with enthusiasm, behaving with alacrity. She was ebullient after she got the promotion, so excited, so enthusiastic. He displayed such ebullience in the ring, excited to be there, so enthusiastic. Ebullient or ebullience. Eclectic, great word. Selective, composed of elements drawn from disparate sources. Her taste in music was truly eclectic. She liked classical music and punk rock. Composed of elements drawn from disparate, distant, separate, unrelated sources. Eclectic. And finally, for this video, efficacy. The power to produce a desired effect. The effectiveness, essentially. What is the efficacy of that vaccine? What's its effectiveness? In trials, it showed great efficacy. It was truly efficacious. It had the power to produce the desired effect. Effectiveness. Efficacy. Thank you for watching this part 1 of 3 in the BARRONS 333 high frequency words. If you enjoyed it or learned any new word, please do leave a like and a comment.